It is our privilege to have Mr. Truett Cathy, Truett Cathy, who is founder and chairman of Chick-fil-A, Inc., with us on our campus today. As many of you know from our website and having had experience with those who have attended, we host about 5 times a year what we call the Leaderboard. Leaderboard was an initiative from our Center for Christian Leadership that turns its face outward toward our community in an executive coaching model to invite men and women who are involved in business to have input from the seminary, to bring us input from the business community in terms of training men and women like yourselves for ministry to these kinds of folks. But we give Prof. Hendricks a platform to build into their lives and others of us who have the privilege of speaking to them, but then bring in somebody who has modeled their Christian commitment in the business world to talk about how to put God first in business. And a few people model that as well as Truett Cathy. He opened an Atlanta diner known as the Dwarf Grill. And in 1967, founded and opened the first Chick-fil-A restaurant in Atlanta's Greenbrier Shopping Center. Today, Chick-fil-A is the second largest quick-service chicken restaurant chain in the United States based on annual sales. And that may be changing, and they may have just gone into first place. But currently, there are more than 1,400 Chick-fil-A restaurants in 37 states, as well as in Washington, D.C. And remarkably, Mr. Cathy has led Chick-fil-A on an unparalleled record of 40 consecutive years of annual sales increases, and in fact will top the $3 billion mark in sales this year. His approach is largely driven by personal satisfaction and a sense of obligation to the community, and especially to its young people. His WinShape Foundation was founded in 1984. It funds 12 different foster homes, a college scholarship program, summer camps for boys and girls, and a marriage retreat center. Mr. Cathy has built his life and business based on hard work, humanity, and biblical principles. And based on these principles, all of Chick-fil-A restaurants operate with a closed on Sunday policy. When you understand that weekend sales for most restaurants like this accounts for 20% of their business, that's quite a commitment. When not managing his company, he donates his time to community efforts and has been teaching a Sunday school class to 13-year-old boys for more than 50 years. In addition to presiding over one of the most successful restaurant chains, he's a dedicated husband, father, and grandfather. He and his wife, Jeanette, have 3 children, 12 grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren, and more than 150 foster grandchildren. It is a distinct honor for me to introduce you to the founder of Chick-fil-A, a dear believer in Christ, a brother who has modeled Christian commitment in the business world. Would you welcome with me Mr. Truett Cathy?
Thank you. Okay, thank you very, very much. My joy to be here with you. I have an important question to ask you. What does the cow say? Who said moo? In Georgia, pigs say moo. Cows say eat more chicken. All right. Well, cows have been very good to us. You need to know that this was started by the Richards Group, who's located here in Dallas. That we have a sophisticated marketing department and on our own staff, but they came up with the idea of using cows to promote chicken. So people used to give me chickens, now they give me cows, all kinds of cows. But it has been very good for us. And it's not, everybody's happy about it except the people in the Cattlemen Association. They tell me it should be bad-mouthing cows. It's bad enough like it is. But it's been very good. Hope it'll be a reminder to constantly eat lots more chicken, if you will. Okay. It's my privilege to talk with young people. My life is motivated by young people. That we employ more than 45,000 young people in our various Chick-fil-A units. Two-thirds of our career people were brought up born and raised in Chick-fil-A. They worked for us in high school and college. So I tell young people, there's no better way of growing up is to continue your formal education, get some work experience, and get some age on you. All those things help me. But I'm especially privileged to be here today because speaking is not one of those things I ever thought I'd be able to do, because when I was in school, I was tongue-tied. Best I could do, the name Truett Cathy was No one could understand me. Finally, I smartened up. My mom printed my name on a card, and I just put that card out there rather than embarrassing myself. Generally, when you repeat it, got worse rather than better. But it just proves to me that we can do anything if we want to. The key to any success is you got to have a tremendous amount of want to. But I believe that we can do anything if you want to bad enough. I would like to be a good golfer. I'd like to be a trumpet player. But I don't want to bad enough to pay the price that it takes to be a professional in whatever you do. But I feel it's been a high calling for me to be called into the restaurant business. You've been called yourself doing something that the Lord's leading you to. And I wouldn't believe we can do anything if God is with us and to glorify it. I think we honor God in our successes, not in our failures. I think we instinctively have from birth that we wanted to be somebody and achieve something noteworthy. And if you're exactly where you think the Lord would have you to be, it's truly a life that you can expect success. I feel a high calling being in the restaurant business, serving people, meeting their physical needs, meeting their, some people go out to eat when they're not even hungry, meet their emotional needs and sometimes spiritual needs. But I congratulate you who have committed yourself to the Lord, whatever calling that might be. It might be calling operating a Chick-fil-A unit someday. But you'll be prepared to do so because we have a definite influence on other people. And as my good friend Charlie Jones says, don't read the Bible, study the Bible. Let the Bible speak to you. Now, I'm not a Bible scholar at all, but there's certain verses of Scripture that comes to my rescue in time of need. When I went to school, that I was brought up in a public school, and it was required back then in third grade to bring a Bible verse to school with you. From that, they would select one verse to be the Bible verse for the week. So I got my name up on blackboard along with Proverbs 22:1. You probably already know what that says, but when you leave here, I hope that you'll remember that a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches. As a little 4-year-old boy came and mother said, tell Mr. Cathy your favorite verse of Scripture. He stood to attention and said, Proverbs 22:1. A good name is rather to be chosen than a lot of money. So that's the way it is. And I feel like the older I get, the more important it is to maintaining a good name, a good reputation. I can borrow money from any bank in Atlanta, very anxious to lend me money, because I protected my name. And we have to protect, being in the food business, we have to do things right each and every time. Not just sometime, because you can have a pleasant experience in Chick-fil-A for 25 times and then be disappointed in the quality of food or being mistreated by the employee, and you probably lost that individual for the rest of their life. And they're certainly not going to be a cheerleader. We like our customers be cheerleaders for us, that it's more effective than having me to tell about the goodness of Chick-fil-A. It's rather the customer would tell their friends about how good the pies are, homemade lemon pie, the homemade lemonade, boneless breast of chicken served in a hot toasted butter bun. My friend, my friends tell me, Truett, nothing so great about taking the bone out of the chicken breast, poking it between two pieces of bread and serving it as a sandwich. I said, no, I realize that. Nothing great about that. That's when I was able to do it. Just just a simple idea. So be alerted to what God's, seems like my life is built around unexpected opportunities, and take advantage of those unexpected opportunities. Go way back when I was brought up in the poverty, and you don't know what poverty is, but I had the privilege of being brought up in poverty. I also experienced a time of plenty, much further time of plenty. There's less to be learned when brought up in poverty, where you learn the value of a dollar and the importance of doing a job and doing it well, and be good stewards of all that God has entrusted to our care. So it's been a very, very exciting life for me, but it's when you're brought up in poverty, you used to be able to charge your groceries at the grocery store. Didn't have credit cards back then, no, and did they know anything about credit cards? So you charge your groceries there, be going through a long list of groceries to be told by the groceryman, we can't give you more groceries till you pay what you owe. And that was very tearful for me to come home and have to tell that to my mom. She rented a boarding house, rented a house. We moved to Atlanta back when I was 2 or 3 years old. And a boarding house is a house where they invite boarders who furnish them not a full room, but a bed and a room and 2 meals a day. So early in my life, I was taught how to shuck corn, shell peas, and wash dirty dishes, and set the table, and go shopping with my mom. Back then, you could buy Cokes for a quarter, 6 for a quarter. Do y'all remember that? Anybody? He does? Okay. All right. Well, I remember back then very plainly, and I know what it is to be thankful for a place to live as well as food for our table. When I was a kid, the only thing I remember that I had to play with was a loose tooth. And that loose tooth wasn't mine, it was my brother's. We look forward to having a loose tooth because you take your tooth and put it on the pillow and tooth fairy comes to see you. Have you had that experience? Putting your tooth under, you try it. It works even today. Not too long ago that I had a wisdom tooth pulled, and I made a point to tell my wife, I'm going to put my tooth on the pillow and see if the tooth fairy is still alive. And sure enough, I didn't hear a sound throughout the night. And I looked under my pillow, and guess what? I had $5 under it. I was told I could buy anything I wanted to. So that's, try it sometime. You might mention somebody that you hope the tooth fairy comes to see you so he won't bypass you. But that was a great experience back there that I knew if I ever had anything, I had to work for it. Nothing wrong with working. And it caused me to be very prudent. My money. First thing of any consequence I bought when I was a kid was a bicycle that I paid $4 for it. Didn't have any fenders on it, but round wheels and good frame. I have never bought anything in my life that I appreciate anymore than that bicycle. I have as my friend, not a close friend, but a business friend, Warren Buffett. You know that name? World's richest person. But he came out to see me, and he went by Georgia Tech. He spoke to the students, and I said, Warren, what did you tell those college students? He said, well, I told them if they had an automobile and it had to last the rest of their life, how would you treat it? Of course, it's relating to our own bodies. You can't trade it off for a later bottle, but you have to do the best you can, protect it. I think if you had an automobile and had to last you you got as old as I am, that you make sure the air pressure is right in tires, you check the oil, you have the oil changed regularly, you keep it shined, clean, keep it out of the bad weather. But if we're able to do that in automobile, why not do that way to your body? Another thing that he said to the students is that I wish that I could exchange where I am today, and he's 10 years younger than I am. I would be willing to swap my age for your age with all the wisdom that he has now, with experience. We do learn by experience. Now, I wouldn't make that swap to you because I still enjoy what I'm doing. I don't want to lose my job. Y'all know the difference between a private company and a public company? Private company is people conscious. Public company is profit. And when you talk to a business person, a public company, they look at bottom line. Doesn't matter what happened, just as long as they're making a profit. And so this has been the difference between Chick-fil-A and public company. We're privileged to do a lot of things that we couldn't do if we was a public company. We don't have to answer to a board, or no, we have to answer to stockholders, but we are able to do a lot of things, and I feel God has terrifically blessed us simply because of the fact that we try to do things right. I think we honor God in our successes, not in our failures. And I think, again, we all born with a desire that we want to grow up, be somebody, and achieve something noteworthy. But sometimes we know better than God about our future. But let me assure you, you honor God in our success. He has a plan for you, and you have to identify what that plan is. I feel a high calling being in the restaurant business, and it has been very fulfilling to me. I think we have ministered to a lot of people that otherwise we couldn't do if it's closed, if I was open, if I was a public company. Go back those early days that I was brought up poverty. I had a dad, but he was a victim of circumstances, and my mom had to take over the livelihood of our family. She rented a house, and she took in boarders, and I think they paid $7 a week for a bed in a room and 2 meals a day. And I always liked on Sunday afternoon to go in my mama's kitchen and make a cake. She let me there with the understanding that I'd clean up afterwards. And so that I did. I always enjoyed it. Tried to make sponge cake out of sponges one day. And that don't work. I must use the wrong color or something. But it was a learning experience for me, but just as sure as you get following the recipe very closely that you get one thing and you didn't have it, you try to make a substitute. Sure, sometimes that substitute works, sometimes it would not. But I enjoyed cooking. I enjoyed pleasing people. And I always got in the restaurant business because I thought it was the best way to get rich and with least amount of effort. That's what they teach in seminars this year, Harvard and other places, how to make money with the least amount of effort. But I can tell you right now, it's not easy. I do have a book out, first book. I don't have it here with me, but it's because it's easier to succeed than to fail. Would that be a true statement? It's easier to succeed than to fail. And it does work. If you don't make the right decision, you've got to start all over and do it all over again. So it's easy to go ahead and make the good decision, get the good results. A book that was very meaningful to me when I was in high school. I never achieved C student about best I could struggle with. I didn't have unusual ability like many of you have, but this had a course called EDL, Everyday Living. and he suggested to me that I read a book by Napoleon Hill, that Think and Grow Rich. Doesn't that sound good? All you got to do is think. You know the reason people don't think? It's hard work. You try it sometime. Get off to yourself and think, and it'll wear you out. And so, but it will bring you riches. It always predicated on good decisions. And I tell young people teaching 13-year-old boys in Sunday school that it is a do-it-yourself world. You can't blame your parents or lack of parents, but you make the important decision, what I call the 3 M's. You make the decision who your master's going to be. Is that important? Very important. Secondly, what your mission in life is going to be, what your life work is going to be. That's important. Connect yourself with a company that you'll be proud to represent. And when you make that decision, you give it all you got. Do your very, very best. It's a glad of satisfaction when you do a job and doing it at your very best. And for you, I don't know whether all of you married or single, whatever, but how important it is you select the right mate. Is that important? Next to your relationship to the Lord, it's the most important decision you can make is who your mate's going to be. I fell in love with my wife when I was 8 years old. We didn't get married at that time, but she reminded me so much of Shirley Temple. Ever heard of Shirley Temple? On the good ship Lollipop. But this 8-year-old lived just a second house from me, and she'd come down, entertain our boarders sometime. She could tap dance, she could sing, had blue eyes, blonde hair, and so I thought to myself at age 8, this is true, that someday I want to select me a wife like her. I thought I had a choice between her and Shirley Temple. I got the better of the two. We went through junior high school together, and after that, she went off to a girls' school. I went to a boys' school. We never saw each other for 10 years until our paths crossed again. And I was 25 at that time, and so I had been in business for 2 years, and I used to have to work almost all 24 hours a day. But we'd go to a late movie, and she would oftentimes have to wake me up, time to go home. It's not the best way to win friends and influence people, particularly a girl that you was courting. It's time you get up, wake up, and go home. But I was just tired, and I know the satisfaction I get in doing a job and doing it very well. But I just want to commend you in your commitment to the Lord. I think most of the students that you're doing your very best. I did not get to go to college. I was drafted in the Army right after I finished high school, so I spent 4 years in the military. And when I came out, I was ready to get going in my career. And we bought a piece of property there in Hateville in the airport area of Atlanta, right across the street from the Ford Assembly plant was being constructed. And we thought for $10,600 we could buy any part of the world we wanted. But if we did stretch it, because we did all the work, most of the material in that building was used, and all the restaurant equipment was used, but I got started. That's always a difficult thing in your plans, getting started, because many things out there will discourage you. It's just not the right time to do that. Interest on borrowed money, competition. But I urge you in this book, How'd You Do It, Truett, to get started early. Now, I have a friend that just recently got all his retirement pay, and it was $100,000 invested in a business. Both of them had car payments and house payments, and to start out on a business that was not successful. But the earlier you start making these good decisions, the better off it you be. That time I started in business, I was single. I didn't owe any money. I didn't have a $100 automobile I had. And it's a sacrificing early in your life to obtain those things in later life, because it does take you deny yourself a lot of things you'd like to have to do. So most of the young people today like to have a house like the mother and dad have, where they accumulated, that were able to buy a house like that. But don't overextend yourself. And credit cards is a very bad thing to have. If you don't have it, you should not buy it. So life is made up of decision, decision, decision. Good decision, good results. Fair decision, fair results. But the sad part, bad decisions reaps bad results. So it's up to you. As I mentioned, marriage is as I tell young people, love is blind, but marriage is an eye-opener. I find these, especially boys, they like girls. And I said, don't select the most beautiful girl that you laid your eyes on, but get one that's bow-legged and snaggle-toothed and bald-headed. I said, they might make a wonderful wife for you, a wonderful mother for your children. On top of that, you'll never have to worry about somebody taking away from you. That you had her for life. So maybe you're looking at the wrong one. What a person really is. I had a young man come up to see me, and he wanted to borrow some money by a car. And I said, Terry, I'll tell you one. If you'll go back and get you a decent haircut and some decent clothes, I'll make that loan to you. And he said, well, Mr. Cathy, what you're doing, you're judging people. I said, what a person really is what his heart is. And I said, well, I can't see your heart, but I can see you. And it's important we impress people by the way we're dressed. I don't know whether the dress code is around here or not, but it sometimes creates good behavior. We like to dress our people, work at Chick-fil-A, professionally. But if they dress professionally, they will not want French fries on the floor and paper and all that. But if we dress casual or less than casual, then you're likely to behave likewise. I've talked to a radio announcer. He always has a suit and tie on. And he was asked one day, why would you wear a suit and tie at a radio station announcer? So nobody can see you. And he said, well, it seems I do a better job when I'm dressed up, in fact. So you might take that in consideration, your dress manners, your behavior problems. So it's little things that you can do that makes a difference. And when you get a job, do it at your very best. I was asked by the mother of a 13-year-old, 16-year-old boy, 15 I think it was. The mother, he had lost his dad when he was in my Sunday school class, so I gave him a lot of my attention. But his mother called me and said, would you mind talking to Hal? Says he doesn't like his job, he doesn't like school. And I said, well, I'll go up to North Carolina with him. I'll be flying up there. I said it'd be necessary for him to skip school on Friday, and that if he could willing to do that. She talked over Hal, and he didn't have a bit of trouble skipping school on Friday. But coming on back, I tried to give him some counsel there. I said, Hal, if you want to get ahead, why don't you choose those jobs other people do not like to do? For instance, you ask when you go in to work at Chick-fil-A this evening if you can get the job cleaning the restrooms. Now, that's not a very desirable job. Most people call on to clean the restroom and mop and everything. It's not for them. They want to wait on the customers. That's not my job. But I said, this time, when you do clean up the restroom, you shine the mirror, lavatory. When you get to the commode, I said, you clean that commode just like you're going to drink out of it. That doesn't sound very nice. But what I was trying to tell him, when you do a job and doing it at your very best, you see great things happening. So if you get a job, you look around and see what job is less desirable and give you permission to have that responsibility. It helps you distinguish yourself, that you're willing to do anything. And you'll get ahead that way. What it got, not only working at Chick-fil-A, but anywhere. But there are career opportunities in Chick-fil-A. 2/3 of our career people grew up in Chick-fil-A. They work for us in high school and college. We have a lot of incentive awards for our young people. If you work there part-time, for 2 years, you get a $1,000 scholarship to a school of your choice. And you can very easily do that during school year, work 10 hours. And summertime, you make 40 hours, which is very easy to accomplish. And I think we've awarded more than 3,000 of these young people to them. I'm motivated by young people. I'm really sincere because a lot of bad talk about young people and their behavior, but you can distinguish yourself by doing what's right. If you do what's right long enough, you get the rewards that you're looking for. Now, it's not easy operating a restaurant. It's probably the toughest job you could expect to have, but it can be very rewarding as well. And I do feel it's a call, being in the food business, serving people. I guess Jesus Christ is the most standout character in the Bible, where he tells them a lot of pleasant experiences he had around the dining table. And I find that that's very important. I think America's been great because of the quality of our people. They're dedicated to the Lord as well as trying to do what is right in their worship with God and stabilizing our home and have a home yourself. We need to remember that we take a vow to each other. That's a vow to each other as well as to God. And this Bible teaches you should not think lightly about taking a vow to each other. But a job is satisfying to me to have my wife that's no going to stick by me thick or thin. And she has that same commitment with me. Children grow up, married, and they're gone. But you have your mate the rest of your life. So be careful with the mate that you choose. They can make you or break you. And I know you have friends that's probably by your age have gone through a divorce, maybe 2 divorces. But Bible says a full commitment. And when we're fully committed to something, it works. And it gets you over those obstacles. God didn't make 2 people alike. But keep yourself physically clean and do your very best. And I think you'll be surprised what God could do for you if you're willing. All he asks you to be willing to do that. Like any business, we went through a time when, back in '82, that we was having some problems. This is when interest on borrowed money was 20 or 21%. We just moved into a $10 million corporate headquarters that was fully financed. This time it seemed like all the fast food getting into the chicken breast sandwich business, which caused the breast of chicken to be inflated. This time it seems our sales are flat, where in the past been increasing. And so I called a meeting of our executive committee. We were at a little place out from Atlanta there called Pine Isle, to ask ourselves some important questions. Important questions like, why are we in business? Why are we alive? What do we need to do to cure our problems? When we evaluated the problems, we had no control over those. And so someone got up to the blackboard and we started adding some words there, 8 of us. Why are we in business? Why are we alive? After spending 2 days there, we came up, this might be Chick-fil-A's corporate purpose, that we might glorify God by being a faithful steward, and that we might have a positive impact on all the people that we come in contact with. Could you catch that? To glorify God by being a faithful steward in all that is entrusted to our care, and that we might have a positive influence on all the people that we come in contact with. We went back and shared that with our staff people. And then they asked questions, what else did you do? I said, well, didn't do anything. We had problems that we're not responsible for and can't change, but we would ask you to cooperate. This might be Chick-fil-A's corporate purpose. So that following Christmas, they gave me this huge bronze plaque engraved on that by corporate purpose. And I don't like to put up signs down to tell people who we are. I hope we will demonstrate who we are. But since it's given it to me by my staff, I said, where should we put this? And it was just wrong to put it right up front door where it'd be a reminder of Truett Cathy and all the rest of us why we're coming to work. It's meaningful to me then, but it's grown to be very meaningful to me over a period of years, because of the fact that it's a reminder how I should treat myself. I had a telephone call. Some man called and talked to my secretary and says about a personal matter. So I took the call. First thing he started telling me that he was so glad to talk with me and appreciated the call. And then he wanted to sell me some investment funds out from New York. And I said, well, you need to speak to the VP of Finance. He said, no, I want to talk to you. So he ran me along. I said, you was very unkind to my secretary. That didn't slow him down. So finally, I just hung up on him. And then I really realized, wonder if he knows about my corporate purpose. And from that, I've never ever hung up on the telephone for anybody, because I was treating him just like he was treating me. But it don't work that way. But that following year, we saw a miracle taking place. For the first time in our business, that our sales increased 36%. We hadn't done it up at that time, then it never have done it since. 36% is a vast increase in sales. In addition to the doors of opportunity was opened up to us. We have a relationship with Berry College. I don't know if you've ever heard of Berry College or not, but it's located 75 miles north of Atlanta. It's the world's largest campus. For the president called me and said, Truett, they've closed the academy, this boarding school, 8th through the 12th grade. Do you have any ideas what you could use that for? Because my wife and I go up there. It was started back by Martha Berry back in the early 20s, 1920s, and it had support of great people like Henry Ford and Andrew Carnegie and Theodore Roosevelt that helped accumulate that land, 28,000 acres. And it was a school for those that had to work to pay the tuition. It was a work school. So we have that relationship. We took over several hundred acres of that land and we develop into what we call the WinShape, shaping individuals to be winners. And today we have 125 students there on a $32,000 scholarship, half financed by the school and half by us. But in addition to that, we built 3 foster homes there. We have a camp for boys and girls, and if you'd like to be a counselor at our Camp WinShape, next summer my daughter heads up the girls' camp. She said, be sure and tell the students that we'll have some vacancies for counselors. We have a ratio of 1 counselor with 4 children. So we give them close guidance and direction. Your opportunity to do this mission. We require all of our counselors to be Christians and to have an impact on these younger ones by your conduct and your words of instructions from them. Great calling. And so from that, we have a ropes course. We have took over a dairy farm that they operated and developed that in a family enrichment program. We have 10 other projects other than cooking chicken. So you see, right now, chicken is really a sideline for us. There are many other opportunities that have come our way. But I congratulate you again for your commitment to the Lord. You won't go wrong, but you can't do those things that you see ordinarily people do. I know it'd be a lot of discouraging time that you see. Seems other having fun, but those are only temporary things. But what you're doing is investing in eternity, trying to lead people to saving knowledge of Jesus Christ. But you have to realize the effectiveness of what you say, but more importantly is what you do. The instruction is what we say, influence is what we do, and the image is what we are. How important that we realize that the impact you have on other lives. So you have to be very careful what you say, what you do. Do you know how words of instruction as well as words of encouragement? Do you know how you can tell when a person needs encouragement? If they're breathing. I get a lot of encouragement. I know some of these professors would like words of encouragement. Let them know what you mean to them. Notes of appreciation, telephone calls, but we need encouragement. And so it is. Now, what does this trumpet player want?
Your assistant, Tom, has been standing there, and I think he needs you. I don't know what he's got on the agenda.
Well, all right, but it's not 11:30 yet. I got another 30 more seconds.
Oh, yeah.
I'm watching that clock. All right, in closing, remind yourself, instruction is what you say, influence is what you do, and the image is what you are. You know yourself as you are. God knows you as you are. And we're reading the scripture that all of us are created in the image, in the likeness of our Creator, our Heavenly Father, our Good Shepherd, our friend, the King of Kings, and the Lord of Lords, commands us to be at our best at all times. The question I have for you, as well as for myself, why not be at our best at all times? Why not be at our best? Why not? Why not? Why not? Thank you very, very much.